Warm greetings from Austria. My name is Peter Parycek, and I'm Vice Rector for Educational Affairs, Continuing Education and Digital Transformation at the University for Continuing Education in Krems. Yeah, unfortunately, I cannot be with you due COVID. I hope we can make up for a face-to-face meeting in Korea in the near future. Yeah, I will provide you a short overview about the current legal changes for continuing education in Austria, and also the current state of our process of transition at our university. Yeah, let's start with the legal reform of continuing education. Academic continuing education has a quite long tradition in Austria, so it was introduced in the late 90s. And one of the main differentiations between regular academic studies and continuing education studies is that continuing education studies we usually have tuition fees, whilst the regular studies have no tuition fees. So the situation in Germany is very similar in Austria in regard to the tuition fees. In Austria, we focused the last 30 years of continuing education primarily on the master level. And that always led to a continuing discussion in regard with the Bologna system in Europe. The Bologna system in Europe is more or less the higher education policy for Europe and the European member states. So the new regulation, which is now introduced, offers the possibility of bachelor degrees for continuing education with 180 credits, so which leads to a full integration into the Bologna system. So continuing education now is fully equivalent to regular studies in Austria, and also it should be the case in whole Europe. So they are interconnectable with the traditional studies. So, for example, with a bachelor degree in continuing education, I also, as a student, can continue with a master study, with a traditional regular master study at the University of Vienna. And as a second example, and with a master degree of continuing education, I'm also, as a student, in a position to continue my studies with a doctorate or with a master degree. The second element, which is quite interesting, there are a lot of changes. I just selected three. Second element is the professional degree, so a professional bachelor, professional master degree, which is always in cooperation with non-university educational institutions. And I'm sure that we will see a lot of innovation in this field with non-university educational institutions and universities in Austria in the near future. The third legal innovation, I think this is the biggest one, is the new regulation framework for validation. And I'm sure this also points the way forward for other countries in Europe and maybe beyond Europe. The idea was long, is intensively discussed the last 10 to 20 years. The recognition and the validation of non-university achievements, and now it is made legally possible for the first time. So this means that competencies acquired through employers or self-learned competencies, they can be validated to a university degree up to 50%, for example, for a bachelor degree. So a bachelor degree program can ideally be shortened to 90 credits. And this can and also will lead to very creative educational pathways. And it's the first time that the law enables this real transferability between these systems. And I would say this is a small revolution in education policies, because, as I mentioned, it's long discussed and now it's possible. So how is the university doing? For us, it's a complete change that's different in other universities in Austria. But for us, because we are only focusing on continuing education, we need to adapt all of our programs. So from a vice rector perspective, this is a huge opportunity, which is seldom given. but also a great responsibility to make the transition transition process is also a success. So in the transition process, we focused on the following elements. So involvement of the entire institution, extensive program and project management, definition of strategies, strategic elements which should be included in all of our programs in the future, working groups with specific focus, and the first pilots and implementation. So that's the very short. And for all these elements, I could talk for hours. So if you're interested in transition processes, yeah, please contact me. The general goals for our programs, which are based on our 25 years experience and the new possibilities, were described in different workshops, and I would like to share them with you. So the University of Continuing Education, the UWK, is a lifelong learning space and network. Second one is that we want to focus on holistic competences for complex issues, for a complex world, for a VUCA world. More and more elements are leading to this complex situation: climate change, digital transformation, the new political reality which we are focusing at the moment. Third one, promoting inclusion by making time and place more flexible. I think this is one of the main learnings from COVID, that especially in continuing education, students need high flexibility in time and place, and we want to continue that also in the future. Then at the moment we have very much predefined learning paths. In the future we also want to offer flexible individual learning paths. Transdisciplinarity is one of our also main elements in research. So we also want to link it stronger to teaching, and fostering internationalization and reducing language barriers is another goal, and combining on-campus experiences. It definitely makes sense to meet in person on campus, to have a discuss, to build up social relationships, but also to expand it to the virtual learning spaces. I mentioned several times the competencies. So the competence-oriented framework, we define competences as a combination of knowledge, of skills, and attitude. So attitude also in that I have the attitude to be able and I want to design solutions for the future. So competences for future society. So that's our main focus. Then we have different didactic approaches, I think they are well known. So I just give you a short overview about that. No time to go into more detail. And we continue with what we are working at the moment with the bachelor program, which has different phases. So the first one is the preparation phase. Second huge one is the universal competences, which are common, which is a common core for all of our students on the bachelor level, or almost all of our bachelor students. Then we have with 90 credits the subject-specific competences, and in all elements, internalization and individualization should be introduced, so as a strategic element of all our programs. And the last one is the transdisciplinarity competences, where the students from the different subject-specific competences come together. So a very huge and mixed group of people. And then in interdisciplinary teams, they will solve problems from society and problems of companies. Yeah, and then the alumni. How, and just look to the color coding. On the next slide, you will see, therefore, we are creating pools of different modules. So there's a pool with module and courses for universal competencies, the blue one section, then for the specific competencies, and for the transdisciplinarity competencies. And so we also want to foster that we reuse different courses for different program and different curriculum learning paths, which you will see on the next slide. We will have also in the future predefined learning paths, and a predefined learning path is written down in the curriculum, typically. And here you see just an example. And on the next slide, you will see a flexible individual learning path. So the student is able to select his courses, then we will have discussion, and if it makes sense to combine these courses, then we sign a learning agreement with the student. And that brings me leads me to my last slide. Short overview to the master programs. So we have the MBA, which typically objective is leadership and management competence, duration 90 to 60 credits, and final examination, not a master thesis, but more a transfer paper. Whilst Master of Arts and Master of Science, much more theoretical and methodology focused, duration 120 credits, and our graduates should be able to successfully study a doctoral studies or a PhD study. And the last one, I already mentioned them, the master professionals. Here we are highly flexible and will more practice oriented and will work in very strong cooperation and develop it in very strong cooperation with the non-university educational institution, which we need for establishing such programs and also signing a contract in this area. So this is very brief overview about the current situation in Austria and at our university. I hope I was able to give you a good insight about these the current status. And yeah, we are very interested in cooperation between Austria and Korea in the field of continuing education. So I'm really looking forward to meeting you in person and hopefully in the near future, and all the best from Austria. Bye-bye.
Good afternoon, schönen guten Nachmittag from Austria, and hello. Welcome to the session, and thank you on behalf of the University for Continuing Education Krems for the invitation. My name is Christina Hell. I'm Head of Teaching, Innovation and Digital Competence Development at the University for Continuing Education Krems, and I'm going to start off by giving you a short introduction into the setup of the university, its focus and its challenges, and also by giving you an idea on how we tackle those challenges. As the University for Continuing Education Krems, lifelong learning is really at our core. We attract students who are trying and looking for continuing their studies throughout life in an academic setting. And therefore, we attract students who are continuously looking for their next thought. I also thought I'm going to bring along the feature film of the university, who's also titled The Next Thought, to give you a better idea of what the campus looks like, of what our focus is, and yeah, we hope that you enjoy the short video.
How much failure does progress require?
I don't know where the president will take this, but now this is possible.
How much information is just distraction? How much silence does focus demand? How many perspectives does one need to think clearly? How much beauty does thinking request? And how much effort is one willing to make? How much does it take
I hope you enjoyed. The University for Continuing Education, Krems, also called Danube University or in German Donau-Universität, is the University for Continuing Education. It is the leading public university for continuing education in Europe, and with its expertise in research and teaching and the combination of both, it continuously works to overcome societal challenges. The university is located in Lower Austria, which is, for those of you who know Austria, basically the region around the capital city of Vienna. And there it is located in a city called Krems, and it shares its campus with two other educational institutions, one being the IMC, the University of Applied Sciences Krems, and the other being Karl Landsteiner Private University of Health Sciences. Within the German-speaking countries, we really are the only public university focusing on academic continuing education, and we have many years in expertise in which we have established a leadership in the field of university-based continuing education. Our aim and one of our primary goals, of course, is to provide outstanding quality to highest international standards, and we, as I've already mentioned, focus on solving societal challenges. This means we need to continuously redevelop our programs in order to be able to tackle future complex problems and challenges. Our study model is oriented toward the specific needs of adult learners throughout all phases of their lives, and especially to the needs of working professionals. We consider working professionals as an asset, and we are actively incorporating this asset into our programs because we make our students engage in this intense transfer of knowledge and skills from one another. We're also committed to research with a high degree of transdisciplinarity, and of course we make sure that our campus offers an inspiring working environment for our students and our staff. Now, what do adult learners need? What do working professionals need? At the University for Continuing Education, Krems, we offer part-time studies on the highest levels, and those in the area of postgraduate master's degrees programs with international academic degrees such as MBAs, MAs, MSCs, or LLMs. And we are taking an interdisciplinary approach. We focus on the combination of theory, science, and practical relevance. And we do make sure that we continuously innovate our teaching methods and our teaching methodologies. Of course, internationality and worldwide cooperation is something that we also focus on, and we are supporting our students by financing and scholarships. We do have 3 faculties. There is the Faculty of Health and Medicine, the Faculty of Business and Globalization, and the Faculty of Education, Arts and Architecture. Our research fields are or can be summarized in those areas that you find here on the slide, ranging from digital transformation, health, and innovation in cohesive and sustainable European societies, to evidence-based health research, cultural heritage, preventive and regenerative medicine, but also continuing education research. Our main fields of study again range from building an environment to education, health and medicine, arts, culture, over to migration and international studies or census and digitalization. Currently, we have more than 7,400 students enrolled at the university from 83 different countries. The average age of our students is 39 years. And I think what is quite impressive, since its foundation in 1995, over 29,000 students have graduated from University for Continuing Education, Krems. We have currently up to 200 studies that are allocated in our 3 faculties, and 720 employees who make sure that everything is running smoothly and that our services are delivered on point. We're working with a budget of 53 million euros. We are, like other Austrian universities, financed by admission fees and research funds, of course, but also supported by the federal government and the province of Lower Austria. As I've mentioned before, in total we have 7,455 students. Of those, 54% are female and 26% are international students. In the chart on the right, you can also see students' professional experiences before their studies. And I think what is quite interesting to see is that currently 26% of our student body has more than 15 years of professional experience. We are an evolving university that has started not too long ago, but I think it is quite impressive to look at the figures here and to see how the alumni number has grown quite exponentially, with currently 29,000 students who have completed the studies at the University for Continuing Education, Krems. So you see, we are a young university, we are a developing university, we do expect to have growing student numbers, and this means that we need to have a clear strategy, a mission of where we want to go and what we want to do in the future, a clear development plan, and we know that innovation is only possible through exchange with others, through collaboration with international partners, and through discourse like this conference here today. So the University for Continuing Education Krems does not only have students who are ready for the next thought, but we as a university as a whole, we are always looking for our next thoughts and for improvement, for development in order to adapt to societal challenges. One way, I think we all agree that one way of tackling societal challenges is education. The University for Continuing Education, Krems, sees MOOCs as one option that helps provide education for people who are not necessarily part of a university, who are not necessarily students at a university. And we are offering MOOCs as open educational resources to the wider public. We are looking to create MOOCs with impact, and here on the left you can see an example of one MOOC that we have published that is focusing on dementia, and this is used as a training for police forces in Austria, but also for government entities and civil servants throughout the country. In Austria, we do have various platforms for MOOCs. So far, there is not one centralized MOOC hub, but this is something that is being worked on. Another way of tackling challenges, but also finding and getting to visions for the future and facilitating innovation is exchange and discourse with others. And the University for Continuing Education has therefore founded Crossroads in Academic Continuing Education, which is an international platform on the future of continuing education at universities, meant to connect ideas, bring together strategies that exist throughout the world, and therefore facilitate innovation, but also explore the limits. The guiding principles when forming and coming up with this platform were that we know that changing societal challenges require universities to continuously reconsider their roles and also innovate and rethink their propositions in order to really meet the needs of future generations. CASE, which is short for Crossroads in Academic Continuing Education, is a transdisciplinary think tank, really, that connects international academics, experts, and visionaries discussing the future of academic continuing education. A clear focus is placed on role concepts, teaching content, organizational models, and financing of continuing education studies. How does the whole thing work? Well, CASE does have an assembly that takes place once a year in a digital format, and which is quite interactive. So we really try to have people engage, chat, and discuss input that is also delivered during this assembly. And in addition to that, there are also CASE workshops beyond borders. Those are organized when needed or cause related. They can be digital, hybrid, or on campus. The first CASE assembly beyond borders took place in 2020. We organized the kickoff with a selected group of partner institutions. We had partners from Europe, partners from North America, and from Asia. And we invited speakers like Urs Gasser from Harvard, Miriam Meckel representing ADA, and Ada Pellet from Hagen Fernuniversität. And in the select group, we decided what the focus should be of the coming CASE assemblies. And here on the slide on the right, you can also see that the question, what is academic, was quite highly prioritized, as well as the issue of flexibilization of curricula and the question of culture and tradition and how that ties in and what role that exactly plays in academic continuing education. In 2021, we organized the second CASE Assembly Beyond Borders. That took place in October, and we had about 200 plus international participants throughout the day. As speakers, we invited Antonio Lopreno, who talked about continuing education in general and the role of universities. Betty van den Bosch from Coursera gave us an insight into the future of online learning and how online learning and teaching has meant a higher inclusion of students and has made it possible for everybody really to participate in education. Jörg Schubert from McKinsey talked about how we should orient our future propositions, especially at universities, towards skills and competences and competence sets that are needed at workplaces and later on in life. And Susan Grajek talked about the role of digital transformation and how digital transformation is changing education, but especially education at universities. And at the end, George Ivama gave us an interesting insight into Quest University and the special focus of Quest University and how they organize their study programs in a way that they are student-centered and in a way that the students get the most out of their studies. Now, today I would also like to heartily invite you to our next CASE assembly, which will take place on December 1st in a digital format. And we, of course, invite you to register via the website, casebb.com. And of course, we look forward to seeing and meeting you there and discuss ideas, visions, and strategies around academic continuing education. Thank you very much, and I will hand over to Peter Parycek, who will talk about a current topic and project that we have at our university, which really helps us retransform the entire system and everything that we have known so far. Thank you very much.